What's going on, guys? Welcome to week 4 of the Lost Woods Draft League Season 3. My name's Ronald, coach of Waltham Watchhogs, and we are back with your Miraidon week 4 power rankings. Had a very chaotic week when it comes for games. A lot of teams doing very good, a lot of teams just looking for that little nudge. Still, Miraidon is a razor close division. All it takes is just one game, one person to to push the pile, and everything is going to move into some nice little chaos. So it's a very interesting week. We have a good week coming up, so we will not waste any more time, and we'll get right into the rankings. As always, if you enjoyed watching, thank you in advance, and I will see you guys come ranking time. So I hope you enjoy. Kicking us off with our week 4 rankings at number 14, we have the Northern Noiverns, previous rank 13. Liam took a 2-1 loss to the debuting Colby in the Portland Cedras. And some really cool stuff. Liam did pick up his first game win in this set. But sticking with some really cool items, still bringing the protective pads on the Weavile from Triple Axle as the Flame Body Volcarona probably came. Finally busting out Banded Dragonite for maximum damage. Along with your Skeledirge, Mienshao, a Colberberry Slowking, and then Throat Spray Toxtricity. And game 1 looked considerably close, in which the Weavile put in work towards the end, but could not get through the Ursulina Blood Moon. But Toxtricity in game 2 kind of just went nuts. 4 KOs, technically 6 if you want to count the self KOs that it got. Colby getting credit for 0 kills in that game, in which Boom Burst just did damage, and you pair that next to Dragapult, and those are just 2 very fast Pokemon, dealing a ton of damage, and they don't hit each other, which is very powerful. And Colby could not do too much about it in that game. Adjusting to bring the Sylveon back in game 3 off lead worked to completely counter both the Dragapult and the Mienshao starting out, but stuff like that happens sometimes. The Dirge did a tiny bit, but not too much in this last game. It looks like in this game, none of the KOs were registered onto Liam. That can be fixed pretty easily. Overall, like, disappointing for Liam. They fall to be the only 0-3 left in the league, but they are still a very scary player regardless. And having someone really with their back against the wall under pressure of their caliber is not someone you necessarily want to play with. Still think Liam can definitely go a long way. They just drawn some very difficult matchups, and I think Colby coming in with a completely new team, having something that he wants to prove this week, and he came out and he proved it, and happened against Liam. It's all right. We just move on, get ready for the next week, and we will see what comes of it. So this is the first make or break moment in the league for a player. Yes, Liam could still make it at 4-4, but really 5-3 is when you're safe. And anyone at 4-4 is going to be spending the entire time fighting for their lives. But I have faith that Liam will be able to make a bounce back and pick up a win at some point. Unfortunately, they get to play Pengy next week, who is no slouch of a player. And we will see how Liam decides to take on that very scary team in their week 4 matchup. At number 13, I have the Portland Cedras, previous ranking 14. Colby, in his debut, took up a 2-1 win versus the Northern Noiverns, who we just talked about. And we get EVs for Colby's team, which is pretty cool, but I have not looked at what any of them do. You've got your Flame Body Volcarona rounding out the supporting stuff, and your Ursulina Blood Moon, which are the only two original roster members still left, deciding to run an AV Ursaluna Blood Rune with Moonblast. So foregoing the Hyper Voice in exchange for some coverage against the Mienshao, it appears. Um, Deciding to bring out the Illumies this week, going Tailwind Encore, Helping Hand Bug Buzz, Lorb Sylveon, and then having the Trick Room mode set up with the Dusclops. And of course, the Trick Room mode did not come, but I think my personal favorite part is the Crawdon with Sash. Um, Really, honestly, a pretty good Dragapult check in a case in which you can go Crunch and then Aqua Jet to check Sash, seeing that you get around anything the Mienshao might throw at you. Took a pretty good win in game one, running the Crawdon Blood Moon Illumia stuff. Um, could not get through the Toxtricity in game two. And in game three, Crawdon went kind of crazy. It's the mascot of New England for a reason. Just dealing so much damage, adaptability, crab hammers, and adaptability crunches go kind of nuts. Um, deci- Decisive win. I am admittedly surprised that Colby did not try to break out the Broom mode against Liam's team. Obviously going for the having the Tailwind options. Bringing Haze so like no setup can happen, but still just going full. I'm gonna commit to this Tailwind mode and seeing what Liam does about it. And it worked in game 1 and 3, so got through it very, very well. Um, no Dusclops, which I'm a huge fan of the Clops. At least on this team. So looking forward to seeing it in a coming week. But Colby will get to have his week 2 against Patrick next week. Looking forward to seeing that matchup, and we'll see how he continues to expand on the team. He does have a transaction going through in which Sylveon and Shiftry will see their time on the team come to an end, and we'll be picking up Serena and Alcremie for next week. We will see how Colby decides to build with those, and also how Colby decides to play around with these 7 extra points that he has built up, or whether he decides to use them or not. So we'll see what happens there. Following that up, at number 12, we have the Yanabu Golurks, coached by Patrick at a previous ranking of 10. Took a 2-0 loss to the good guy Gudras, of which Blaziken was the main force just this entire set. Game 1 kind of got Rockwell sort of got bailed on some Focus Blast misses. Um, it is what it is. It happens. But game 2 just couldn't get anything going. Completely shut down by Grimmsnarl and Komo. Rockwell very much had a plan into this matchup, and game 1 needed the Ursaluna, and game 2 needed the Como and the Grimmsnarl, and Patrick just could not get through it. Definitely a bit disappointing. I think especially after game 1 because you had the Blaziken going crazy on Heat Waves and Focus Blasts, and just missing the Cruise Focus Blasts. And Rockwell got some very clutch survives, I believe, on 1 HP and 9 HP on 2 different Mons, which super, super unfortunate for Patrick. Just that 1 tick of damage would have won him the game. Still some cool stuff coming out. You got your Cloak Crocodile that mattered. AV Rhyperior is back, but did not see light in the set. Gravity Bronzong would have been very nice with Focus Blast, Heat Wave, but did not come. The Faint Blaziken's also really interesting. Definitely looking to threaten Ursaluna's Protects. And then just a standard Amoonguss, and then a Braviary that we've seen quite a bit. But overall, still not a bad week for Patrick. Definitely a lot that can be learned. Patrick will get to play Colby next week, I believe. Um, yep, Patrick plays Colby, and we will see what Patrick decides to um do within this matchup. At number 11, we have the Boston Blackjacks, coached by Jacob Spadesman at a previous rank of 12. Took a 2-1 win against the 4-1-3 Ursa versus 1-4-1-3X. Alex, I hate you for making me say that every time. Um, Definitely got bailed a bit on game 3 with the double Cinderace miss. Um, but a miss is a miss and a win is a win. So if I'm Jake, I might not be happy about how it happened, but you got to win and you're back on your feet. Pretty standard balance stuff. I think Jake's made a mistake on the Electrovive, not meaning to run Electro Web. Um, and then the rest of this team is pretty good. A lot of Trick Room modes shenanigans, which the Galarian Slowking was extremely nice for. Conkeldurr did a solid amount of damage. Your Wide Lens Mudsdale put in work, and then the Grassy Seed Goodra was super cool, except for the fact that Gothitelle Mirror Herbed it every single time. But it didn't really matter that much. Gothitelle got taken care of pretty easily, consistently. Um, but yeah, game 1 focusing on the Conk, with the Rillaboom to help it out, and in game 3 also the Conk and the Rillaboom. Um, definitely a very interesting matchup that happened. I think I think Jake said that he doesn't feel great about it after his win on stream, but said a win's a win. I think there's some very cool ideas. Jake's definitely sticking with his balance stuff to say, but it's working. And I think Jake's made a great transaction for what his team needs. He's done a coaching trade in which the the Beantown Binnacles have traded Sneasel for Umbreon, so Jake will get to add Sneasel to his team, which offers yes another fake out mon with inner focus, but also runs beat up, which can be used to power up Mudsdale and Arcanine's Justified and stamina abilities respectively. So getting to expand the team and make it just that bit more threatening. Um, but we'll see how Jake decides to bring that out next week. Jake will go up against surprisingly Theo, who he ended up making the trade with. So we will see if the Sneasel comes into that game. But overall, Jake's on the board with a win. It doesn't matter how it happens, but he is alive, he is kicking and fighting, and we will see how he continues through that. At number 10, we have the Cursed Curry Sunfish, coached by Curry Puff at a previous ranking of 7. Took a 2-0 loss to the Zurich Zamazentas, which it's a Pengy team. It's not that huge of a deal, but very interesting team getting brought out. You have your Bandaged Raptor, which is really cool. Just doing a ton of damage to everything with Reckless. AV Annihilate coming out with Poison Jab and Seed Bomb for some very good coverage stuff. Your Belly Bolt, Stantler getting some action with legitimate Terra Blast getting brought out, which is probably a strong stab move with Helping Hand. And then also having the Tailwind and also the Trick Room option if you wanted to click it. And then rounding it off with your Gastrodon. Ultimately, the damage was there with some things, like Staraptor had the damage, Gastrodon had some damage, but Pengy's team was just a bit too much for to handle in this case. Like, for example, Helping Hand Brave Bird on Excadrill doing that much damage is on turn 1 is crazy, but the Sash coming out put a thorn in that plan. But Stantler did get a KO in game 1, which is pretty cool, but bringing the Belly Bolt into Excadrill Hippowdon, probably not an amazing thing to happen. And then running into the Fletchlander and Goldengo in game 2 is just not a fun lead to deal with. And considering the Fletchlander was banded as well, is very tough to deal with, and ultimately could not be gone through on their side. But overall, like this is Curry. I'm not too worried. Curry's starting to get the hang of their team a bit more, and the team is still just completely annoying. Just he played one of the most anti BS teams in the league, so he didn't really have the opportunity to cook up something really funny, which we know Curry is very good at doing. Um, what he will be able to do is cook something up, not just with the logos, but also something against Alex, in which I'm really excited for that matchup because Curry and Alex are two very good team builders. I'm excited to see what they decide to make, because we know the moment that you start sleeping on Curry, they're gonna bring something very cool. And for example, if I was prepping as Pengy, the only thing I would have got right was probably this Gastrodon. I would not expect any of these other sets to come because of how unique they are. Like Slack off Belly Bolts into Double Ground, I don't think that's coming, but that has some use on the Stantler. So Curry has the ability and is building very coolly. The question is, will he be able to keep it up? I think he'll be able to. He will be making a transaction coming into week 4 in which Stantler is getting dropped and Houndoom is going to be joining the roster. A very cheap trade, but we'll see how it ends up playing out. At number 9, I have the Wolfen Watchhogs at a previous ranking of 5. To put it lightly, I got smoked this week. I'm not proud of my play. Um, and I thought my prep was fine, but evidently not. Um, if we look at my team sheet, I prepped very hard for the Palmot and any like Bax Caliber, Dundozo ground type moves. Deciding to go with a Intimidate set to kind of hinder all the physical attackers, Stamina Arch, Decidueye, a lot of Dozo checks on the team. And if you look over here, there's no Bax Caliber, there's no Palmot, and there's no Dozo. So completely prepped for some of the wrong stuff. And then just in the game, I just got almost every single turn wrong. Which it happens. I clicked all the wrong buttons when I needed to. Overquill did some work in game 1, but not nearly enough. And Overquill nearly hung on for game 2, but was just literally one turn away from being able to close out the game, but needed an encore to end one turn earlier. I think the one thing I can take away from this is I made a lot of mistakes in prep, just not trusting my gut. I made changes on the Meowstic, I made changes on the Pelipper, on the Overquill, and the Archaludon, and all of those were pretty significant in the matchup, which is completely on me. It happens. Oh well. But I'll bounce back. It's another lesson learned in the draft league, which the Miraidon division has been very good at doing. But I get to play Rockwell next week, so that will be a very interesting matchup to prep for, and I will see how that ends up going. So overall, bit of a down week, but not that concerned about it, and I will see what comes next in the matchup against Rockwell. At number 8, I have the 413X Ursa versus 1413X, coached by Alex, previous rank of 8. Took a 2-1 loss to the Boston Blackjacks. Alex is the highest rated 1-2 in my opinion because they just shouldn't have lost this game. Alex lost game 3 on a double Pyro Ball miss. So just need to hit one Pyro Ball, and spoiler alert, Pyro Ball did not hit. Even then, I think it would have been really close, but I think they probably would have wrapped it up. Still a cool team that was brought. You had your AV Sneasler, which was very interesting. Thunder Punch D-Dance Dragonite, standard Electabuzz. A coaching taunt Wisp, Pyro Ball Cinderace, which taunt managed to fire off in game 1 just to get mental herbed. And then a Basculegion, and then also a Mirror Herb Gothitelle. Just protecting for any like bulk up stuff from Corv, and it actually paid off against the Goodra. Um, but otherwise didn't do too much, but still very cool tech regardless. Sneasler just did so much damage the whole time in game 2 and 3. Um, couldn't really get going in game 1 just because of that hidden information. Um, and then going much more aggressive with Cinderace and Sneasler in game 2 very much helped Alex just get the ball rolling. Um, and then game 3, just a super, super unfortunate ending. Nothing that can really be done about that except to continue on. Just getting very unlucky. It happens. 90% moves will do that. But not too much more to say about this matchup. Alex will bounce back against Curry Puff next week, and we'll see what they decide to come up with. They'll probably come up with something pretty cool. So we will see what they end up going with. At number 7, I have the Slow Bros, coached by Ivan at a previous rank of 11. Took a very clean win against me this week. Super interesting team. Very surprised they finally decided to bring out the Storm Drain Tatsugiri with Draco, Muddy, Icy Wind, and Dragon Pulse on a spec set. The roster changes came into play with Pachirisu and Baratic just being thorns in the side the whole time. Running Disable Ninetales was extremely problematic and good into the matchup. And then just Abandoned Meowscarada just did so much damage, massive problem for me. I think on my segment, I said that I just got every turn wrong, but I think there very much could be an argument for Ivan just dominating this set because Ivan got every single turn correct. Um, literally, continuously outplayed me the entire time. Um, but it happens. He prepped and brought a very strong team into me. Even bringing some like encore disable shenanigans with Beartick and Ninetales. Probably the Beartick barely outspeeding the Ninetales under snow. Um, just Pachirisu's Super Fang was just a thorn the entire time. And then even Meowscarada for every move that it missed. Just dealing so much damage. Um, very cool team. We don't even have to talk about the Wakan, Berry, Fisher, Dozo. Um, but overall, Ninetales dominate and Meowscarada dominated this matchup. Very cool stuff. And we'll see what Ivan continues to do as they play the team coached by Dan in Stout Gaming next week. At number 6, I have the Beantown Binnacles, coached by Fiat, a previous rank of 9. Took a very commanding 2-0 win versus Area 151. The first thing you see on this team is that you've got a Metacham with Skill Swap next to Slacking, which was running White Herb with no Protect, which is very interesting, but considering no Wheezing, you don't want it to leave the field. But that didn't end up coming. Instead, going with a Typhlosion Hitmontop lead both times, getting the Scarf active, and then also a Fake Out Quick Guard helping hit close combat on Hitmontop, which is very cool. And just all around, most of the mons did work. Azumarill with your huge power Clear Amulet deterred any Dozo that may have came, and Dozo did not come. Then Kilowattrel just put in work. Just every move being a problem. Very good for cleanup next to Azumarill. Definitely got the turns right. I think having no I think Corrosion brought Scarf Palafin, having no Jet Punch really made the Typhlosion's job a lot easier. And then also just being able to control with Hitmontop for Kilowattrel and Azumarill to clean up. There wasn't really any solid counter to Azumarill that came at the end game, which, I mean, I guess you have Sinistcha, but could not get the job done against Azu in either game. Just very solid. So I'm disappointed we didn't see the Metacham slacking because if there was a week to do it, this would have been it because Corrosion does not have any follow me users. And then having the safety goals to get around the Sinistra, but it was definitely a bit too much to ask for. But it's still a cool tech that people have to be prepared for regardless, because if you see the Metacham, you know it's running skill swap. But overall, very, very cool team. Um, and Theo gets to continue. Theo has, as we touched on earlier, made a trade with Jake, in which they are giving up Sneasel and acquiring Umbreon. So it will be very interesting to see how they incorporate Umbreon into the team. But overall, turning into a very, very, very scary team, and we'll see how Theo continues in his match against Jake this week. At number 5, I have the Alexandria Arcanines at a previous rank of 3. Took a 2-0 loss to the Massachusetts Reaps. We don't have a team sheet as of right now for Stout Gaming. However, if we look at the matchup, Driplim, Indeedee, Milotic, and Delphox came. I believe T-Tar was also on the team sheet. I don't remember the 6th. I want to say it was Katarine. But game 1 definitely just got caught out being just a bit greedy and not respecting the Scarf Electrode, and then losing the speed tie as a possible speed tie as a result. Because Follow Me was pretty telegraphed, but it wasn't clicked. And just Gallade just wiped out the entirety in game 1. Running that choice band, just great damage into Driplim, Indeedee, Milotic, and Delphox. And then game 2, even though the swap to a Mimikyu Politoed lead, Mabosstiff came in during the side spam mode. Gallade came in to clean off, and then Drifloon just even with its unburdened boost could not get anything going. I can't really talk about the team because I don't have it in front of me, but it was a very, very solid win for Keon. I got back in the win column, which was not desperately needed, but still very, very good, really showing the power that Gallade had, which when I played Keon last week was the mon I was super, super afraid of. And showing the rest of the league why Gallade is something that is not to be messed with. So can't say much about Stout's team this week because we don't have it, but overall, bit of a down week, but it happens. They will get to play Ivan next week, and we'll see how they decide to go about it. At number 4, I have Area 151 at a previous rank of 2. Took a 2-0 loss to the Beantown Binnacles. So Corrosion's team consisted of a Scarf Palafin and Gardevoir off lead. Gardevoir rocking a Sash with 3 coverage moves, and then a Scarf Palafin. Most importantly, with no Jet Punch, which I don't know if Scarf Palafin outspeeds Typhlosion Scarfed, but I'm assuming it does. But either way, not running Jet Punch was a interesting but fine choice. I wouldn't think any more of it, but they had better ideas in the team than I did. But just couldn't really get going against the Hitmontop because just the Typhlosion in lead just did so much damage to everything that Corrosion could have brought, because there is, I don't believe, any fire resists on lead. So if this was a cloak set, Jet Punch set, would have been a bit different, but so much damage coming out early. And then some other cool sets, like your just standard Sinistra, but you had a Solok Berry on Mamoswine and Door in reversal. Very interesting stuff. Your standard physical Wheezing, also having a helmet on it this time. Running Levitate as well, to get around your Garchomp Earthquakes. But Garchomp did not come. Wheezing was not needed. It's all right. But a bit of a down week, but it happens. Sometimes you just don't realize what your opponent might have, and knowing what Corrosion had in the prep, this was something they considered, but the specific sets just could not get dealt with. It happens though. Gardevoir got its time to shine a bit. Low kicks finally got off the bench. But we'll continue on and see how they progress. Corrosion will be playing Keon next week, and we'll see how that ends up going for them and what they bring. At number 3, I have the Massachusetts Reeds, coached by Keon at a previous rank of 6. Took a 2-0 win against the Alexandria Arcanines. Really brought out a cool team. As someone who ran Scarf Regieleki last season, which was the fastest thing in the format, Scarf Electrode being the fastest thing in the format really is going to catch people off guard. Evidently, Drifblim did not expect to get outsped by the Electrode, and it was just a very big surprise, and it completely paid off. Gallade winning a possible speed tie, turn 1, confirmed it, but this is the surprise that Keon's team has, in which it's just a lot of underrated pieces, but they just work so well. Like, you had no Solomons, no Indeedee coming in the matchup, but, like, that's not really needed here. Other cool stuff, you had your Psychic Seed Politoed, with Hypnosis, Parasong, Muddy Water. What I believe is the I'm only clicking Hypnosis if I have nothing better to click, and I normally don't have anything better to click button. I don't know if it hit once, which is unfortunate, but Muddy Water is a broken move, and Keon understood that and used it to perfection. Bringing the Boss Stiff into the Psy Spam team super strong. Scizor, although it came in game 1, kind of fodder into the Delphox, but it's fine. And then the cool thing of Phantom Force next to Parasong Mimikyu to dodge the Perish was cool. Unfortunately, it got follow me'd by Indeedee, which was not as cool, but it was still pretty cool regardless. Gallade just did work. Banded Gallade is nothing to be messed with. I got cooked by Banded, or I didn't get cooked by Banded Gallade last season, but that thing does a surprising amount of damage. But Keon, 7 of 8 kills with Gallade. Crazy stuff. Great coverage options, running the Sacred Sword, Psycho, Night Slash, Leaf Blade. Overall, great matchup for him to play. And yeah, just all the techs coming into play. Psychic Seed came into play, Band, Scarf, even the Lumberry got activated against the Drifblim, which was not expected by the Wisping Drifblim. Super good all around. Keon will get to expand on this momentum in week 4 against Corrosion, and that will be a very fun matchup to watch, and you'll see what each of them decide to do with it. At number 2, I have the Zerg Zamazentas, coached by Pengi at a previous rank of 4. Took a 2-0 win versus Curry. And getting some of this stuff active. Red card Clefable, really cool. Of course, it did not come. But what's even funnier is the choice band Fletchlander that picked up 2 kills in game 2. Brave Bird dual wing beat to get around any flying sash stuff. Flare Blitz, Tailwind. What you don't expect in game 1 is Banded Fletchlander, Brave Bird, Galings. You don't expect that, and that thing did a ton. And then following that up, you had your just sand mode with HH, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Protect, in which when you're next to Fletchlander going fast, you can just click Earthquake. It's gonna do a lot of damage. And then bringing your Hippowdon, just getting Curse set up so you can't even kill it, and then just slacking off and clicking Fissure as many times is a really funny button. And then even the Scarf Rotom Wash to pair next to this stuff for Disquake. Just good stuff overall. Very solid win for Pengi. Again, disappointed we didn't get the red card on Clefable going, but still did not need it. Also, the leftovers Goldengo showing that, like, I don't need Life Orb on this thing. I'm just gonna click Nasty Plot, get a bit more survival, and then just make it rain on you. Um, Super solid. Closed out that game 2. Um, but yeah, Pengy has momentum. Even though the prep pickup last week, they're still doing very, very good, and they will get ready to play Liam next week. To continue that momentum with their team. And at number 1, we have the good guy Gudras at Rockwall, staying at number 1. Took another 2-0 win versus the Yanaba Golurk, still yet to drop the game. Another really, really cool team that Rockwall has brought in. Ursaluna with Swords Dance Earthquake Facade was the star of the game, just doing so much in game 1. Getting some really clutch survivals off Magmar and Ursaluna. And then in game 2, just taking Grimmsnarl and Komo and just doing so much damage. Rockwall has continued to show that he really likes bringing this offensive Grim and is doing a lot of work in his matchups. Just Crunch, Spirit Break, Sucker Punch in the previous ones, Fake Out. So much damage coming out. Follow Me Magmar with Roar, also some very, very good techs. Deciding to go bringing the special Como this week with Flying Souls. And then just running your standard, like, let's get Blizzard, let's get Earth Power for coverage, Grass Knot, just good stuff, and then Yanmega just still doing its thing after all this time. Super solid game. And Rockwell just has momentum. Not really too much to digest other than Ursaluna was the star of game 1. Rockwell got the information out of Patrick's team he needed game 1 and just took it and ran. And then in game 2, just used what he had and just Grimmsnarl Como just kind of cooked. So super good overall. Rockwell gets to play me next week in what will be a very interesting matchup, and we'll see how that continues to end up. So overall, this is what we're looking at for, this is supposed to say week 4, the week 4 power rankings. Rockwell at the 1, followed by Pengy, Keon, Corrosion, Stout Gaming, Theo, Ivan, Alex, Ronald, Curry, Jake, Patrick, Colby, and Liam. A lot of small shuffling, a lot of big shuffling. Still, everyone is still alive. No one is out yet, so a lot can change. For our matchups this week, we have the number 6 Beantown Binnacles against the number 11 Boston Blackjacks. The number 14 Northern Noiverns takes on the number 2 Zurich Zamazentas. The number 12 Guianabo Golurks take on the number 13 Portland Cedras. The number 7 Slowbros take on the number 5 Alexandria Arcanines. And then in our notable matchups, we have the number 8 413 Ursa-Rings versus 1 413X taking on the number 10 Curse Curry Stunfists. The number 9 Waltham Watchhogs takes on the number 1 Good Guy Gudras. And then in the match of the week, we have the number 3 Massachusetts Mareeps taking on the number 4 Area 151. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the Miraidon rankings and next week for the Miraidon. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.